What if I told you that money in your hands is never just a number on a screen? It's the weight of your upbringing, your fears, your triumphs, your deepest insecurities, all silently guiding every click, every order, every hesitation. You walk into the markets not as a rational robot, but as the product of 1,000 stories. Some you inherited, some you learned the hard way. Morgan Housel begins The Psychology of Money by warning you. Money is never simply about money. It's about the story you tell yourself, the meaning you attach, the emotional baggage you drag along. And that baggage is heavier than you think. Every time you chase a trade because you're angry about a loss or you hesitate to enter because of a past trauma, you're living proof of Housel's thesis. People do some crazy things with money, but no one is crazy. Your trading decisions are the result of your own personal experiences, shaped by what money meant in your childhood, by the role models you saw winning and losing. If you grew up seeing scarcity, every losing trade feels like an existential threat. If you were rewarded for risk, you might bet bigger than you should. Housel is relentless in his honesty. He's not here to make you feel good. He's here to make you wake up. Think about the last time you broke your trading plan because of a red candle. Was that logic or panic? Was it strategy or the echo of your parents' voices, warning you not to lose what little you had? Housel draws a line in the sand. Your personal experiences with money make up maybe 0.00001% of what's happened in the world, but maybe 80% of how you think the world works. Your bias is your prison. No amount of reading, no amount of trading psychology courses, no matter how many times you read Mark Douglas or Jared Tendler, will free you until you admit how personal this game really is. This is not unique to you. The most disciplined traders, those you idolize, carry their own private storms. Just like you, they overreact. They feel regret. The only difference? They acknowledge it. Steve Burns says, "You don't trade the markets. You trade your beliefs about the markets." That's why Bellafiore, in One Good Trade, drills discipline, not because you'll ever be perfect, but because you need the structure to corral your chaos. Housel's point isn't to shame you, it's to arm you. Money is emotional. Trading is psychological warfare, and your opponent is your own narrative. It's time to stop pretending you're a machine. Accept that every trade is shaped by your past. This honesty is not a weakness, it's your edge. Traders who confront their financial stories, who ask, "What am I really reacting to?" are the ones who slowly bend probability in their favor. They learn to step back, to breathe, to see the market as a field, not a battlefield. So, what's the first step for you? Dig. Remember the first time you felt fear with money. Recall your first big win or crushing loss. Write it down. Sit with it. This is the groundwork Housel wants from you. Before you ever calculate another risk-reward ratio, you must admit you are not purely rational. If you skip this, you'll repeat your mistakes forever. This isn't just advice, it's a challenge. Look around. The traders who survive the longest are the ones who understand their own baggage. They're not fearless, they're honest. Which part of your money story is controlling you right now? Find it. Own it. Only then can you build the foundation for consistent, disciplined trading. Luck, risk, and the illusion of control. You want to believe that your trading results are solely the outcome of your skill, discipline, and strategy. But what if I told you that the invisible hands of luck and risk are shaping your trading account just as much as your technical analysis? In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel hammers home a truth most traders spend years denying. You control far less than you think. Your job isn't to predict or control the market. Your job is to survive long enough for the probabilities to work in your favor. Let's face it, every legendary trading story is full of survivorship bias. You hear about the traders who turned $10,000 into millions, but you never hear about the hundreds who lost everything trying the same approach. Housel uses the example of Bill Gates, who attended one of the only high schools in the world with a computer. Was Gates brilliant? Absolutely. Was he also lucky? Without question. In markets, this is magnified 1,000-fold. Every win you celebrate, every loss you endure, is a blend of your decisions and the random roll of the dice. How many times have you mistaken a lucky win for proof that your strategy is infallible? How many times have you ignored a small loss, chalking it up to bad luck rather than a bad decision? Mark Douglas, in Trading in the Zone, warns that the market is an environment of unlimited uncertainty. You can do everything right and still lose. You can break your rules and sometimes win. This is not just noise, it's the heart of the game. The illusion of control is seductive. Every time you win after increasing your risk, your brain tells you, you see, you're special. Every time you escape a losing position by holding longer than you should, you think you've cracked the code. But as Housel explains, nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. The outcome of a single trade means almost nothing. It's the long-term process that matters. And yet, your brain keeps seeking patterns in the chaos, desperate to believe you're in control. Here's the wake-up call. Acknowledge luck. Respect risk. Stop letting your ego write checks your trading account can't cash. The traders who last, those who actually make a living, build their edge around risk management, not prediction. Jared Tendler, in The Mental Game of Trading, calls this embracing variance. You must accept that randomness is baked into every trade. Your edge is not in control, but in adaptation and humility. So how do you use this insight? First, drop the fantasy that you can predict the next move. Focus on process, not outcome. When you journal your trades, note not just your logic, but also where luck or risk played a role. Over time, you'll start to see that the best traders are not always the best analysts. They are the best risk managers. As Housel puts it, risk is what's left over when you think you've thought of everything. Compare this to what you see in trading rooms and on social media. Everyone is boasting about wins, hiding losses, pretending luck had nothing to do with it. This is poison for your psychology. You're not here to look smart. You're here to play a game of survival. Stop comparing yourself to the highlight reels. Compare yourself to your past self. Are you managing risk better? Are you lasting longer? Are you learning from luck, not just celebrating it? Let this section be your mental reset. Risk and luck are not weaknesses to be conquered. They are fundamental to the game. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you stop beating yourself up for losses you couldn't prevent. Or worse, getting overconfident after wins you didn't truly earn. This is the new mindset. Play for longevity. Judge yourself by the quality of your decisions, not the outcome of your trades. In the end, trading is about surviving the randomness, not mastering it. Compounding. The hidden force behind wealth. You've been told to focus on big wins, to hunt for that one trade that changes everything. But what if I told you that the greatest force in trading isn't a home run? It's compounding, quietly at work, invisible to the impatient? Morgan Housel insists that compounding is the most powerful yet misunderstood force in wealth building, and nowhere is this more critical than in trading. You are not just stacking trades. You're stacking time, discipline, and small decisions that snowball into something unstoppable, if you let it. Think about Warren Buffett, whose fortune is less a product of his genius stock picking and more about his willingness to let returns multiply for over 70 years. His skill is investing, but his secret is time, Housel writes. You want instant results, but the market punishes the greedy and the restless. The compounding effect is subtle, almost boring in its pace, but it's relentless. Every time you protect your capital, every time you stick to your risk management rules, you're feeding the compounding machine. You're building the real edge, one that's only visible years down the line. How does this apply to your daily trading? It's the discipline to take a small loss, knowing you'll have capital for tomorrow. It's the patience to let a good setup play out instead of jumping for every flashing candle. If you're always resetting your account, chasing losses, or blowing up on leverage, you're burning the most precious resource you have, time. Housel points out, good investing isn't necessarily about making good decisions. It's about consistently not screwing up. That's compounding in action. Each day you avoid disaster, you amplify your future opportunities. Contrast this with the instant gratification culture of most traders. On forums, you see the obsession with doubling accounts in a month, with zero attention to how small, consistent gains multiply. The traders you admire, those who seem untouchable, aren't just good. They're relentless in protecting their ability to come back tomorrow. Steve Burns reminds you, capital preservation is the first rule. Compounding does the rest. Every small win, every avoided disaster is a brick in the compound interest fortress. It's not just about returns. Compounding works with habits, discipline, and confidence. Every day you journal your trades, you become 1% better. Every time you recognize and avoid a tilt, you grow more resilient. The discipline you develop doesn't just impact your P&L. It changes who you are as a trader. This is the psychology of compounding, letting your good habits build rather than sabotaging yourself with impatience and self-doubt. Housel's insight hits hardest when he warns most of the returns in life, whether in wealth, relationships, or knowledge, come from a small number of long-term commitments. Are you willing to make that commitment to your process, or are you still searching for shortcuts? Douglas and Tendler echo the same theme. If you keep changing systems, chasing signals, or letting emotions pull you off track, you'll kill compounding before it ever has a chance. So, what do you do differently? First, honor the long game. Make your risk rules non-negotiable. Think in terms of hundreds of trades, not just the next 5. Journal your progress, not just your results, but your discipline and emotional stability. When you're tempted to throw away months of work on a single impulsive trade, remember, compounding is the quiet force building your edge, day by day. Your legacy as a trader will not be built in a week. It will be built in the thousands of tiny, smart decisions that seem insignificant in the moment, but transform your results in the long run. Compounding is your silent partner. If you respect it, it will pay you in ways you can't imagine. The real value of money. Why do you trade? What's the goal behind the green numbers, the endless charts, the sleepless nights? If your answer is just more money, you're missing the point and sabotaging yourself in the process. In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel cuts straight to the core. The real value of money is freedom. It's the ability to wake up and decide how you'll spend your day, your time, your life. Everything else, status, recognition, even luxury, is secondary or, more often, an illusion. This isn't just philosophical. It's the most practical insight a trader can adopt. How many times have you been lured into the game of chasing profits, only to feel more trapped, more desperate, less in control? Housel warns, controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. The best traders in the world aren't those who swing for the fences on every trade, risking it all for one shot at glory. They're the ones who use money to buy themselves space, to wait for their setup, to take a break when needed, to walk away from the screen without fear or guilt. Compare this to the stories you see paraded online. The trader glued to a monitor, the influencer who never sleeps, the hustler whose life is dictated by market open and close. These aren't models of freedom. They're prisoners of their own ambition. You can't put a price on waking up and saying, I can do whatever I want today, Housel reminds you. And yet, every time you let FOMO, greed, or envy pull you off your plan, you surrender a little bit of that freedom. Think about the consequences in your own trading. How often have you stayed in a losing trade because you couldn't accept being wrong? How many times have you ignored your stop loss, not because the setup changed, but because you felt trapped by ego, by fear, by the pressure to perform? Every time you refuse to cut a loss, every time you chase a bad setup out of boredom, you're not just risking money, you're mortgaging your freedom. The stress accumulates, your confidence erodes, and suddenly trading feels like a cage, not an opportunity. What Housel preaches is echoed by trading psychologists like Mark Douglas and Jared Tendler. They urge you to remember, your job isn't to control the market. Your job is to control yourself, so you can control your life. Money, in this context, is a tool. It gives you the power to walk away, to reset, to be patient. This is why capital preservation is so sacred, because it preserves your ability to choose. Bellafiore's mantra, protect your freedom to make the next trade, is not just risk management, it's the foundation of a healthy trading mindset. So how do you apply this lesson? Start by reframing your goals. Don't just focus on profit targets. Ask yourself, how is my trading increasing my freedom? Am I using my capital to buy choices, to protect my time, to reduce my stress? Set boundaries. Decide in advance when you'll walk away, what your maximum daily loss will be, when you'll take breaks. Make freedom the filter for every trading decision. Recognize the trap of comparing yourself to others who appear to have more. Their lifestyle may be loud, but their stress is often louder. Housel writes, the highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today. That's the outcome you're really chasing, whether you realize it or not. Let this sink in. Trading is not about proving yourself or impressing strangers online. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, your life. Every wise decision you make, every disciplined exit, every patient wait brings you closer to true wealth. Your job isn't to win every trade. Your job is to build a life where you get to choose what happens next. The seduction of getting wealthy, not staying wealthy. You're told to focus on making it, doubling your account, hitting that big winner. But what if I told you that the real game in trading isn't getting wealthy? It's staying wealthy. Morgan Housel makes this distinction with laser clarity. Getting money and keeping money are two different skills. Most traders obsess over the thrill of making money, but few develop the humility and caution required to keep it. Think about your own journey. How many times have you hit a new high only to watch it evaporate? Maybe you told yourself, I can't lose now. I've cracked the code. Then, a string of overconfident trades brings you crashing back down. This is not a coincidence, it's a pattern. Housel tells us there are a million ways to get wealthy, but only one way to stay wealthy. Some combination of frugality and paranoia. In trading, this means embracing the boring parts of the process, risk management, discipline, humility, over the adrenaline of chasing profits. You see the same trap in every trading community. A member posts an account statement showing massive gains. Everyone cheers. Then silence. No one asks what happened next. No one wants to talk about the months of losses that followed reckless overtrading. The market punishes arrogance and overconfidence, often right after a big win. Mark Douglas calls this the euphoria trap. After a big win, you believe you're invincible. You relax your standards. You risk more than you should. And just like that, the market humbles you. What separates those who last from those who disappear? Survival. Traders who stay wealthy are those who always expect the unexpected. They operate with the humility to know they can be wrong at any moment. They respect volatility, embrace the reality of drawdowns, and refuse to let a few lucky wins make them complacent. Housel tells the story of Jesse Livermore, a legendary trader who made and lost multiple fortunes because he never mastered the art of keeping money. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's a lack of emotional balance. So how do you cultivate this mindset? First, always respect your stops, no exceptions. Discipline isn't just for bad days, it's a daily practice. Bellafiore warns, your best trade can become your worst enemy if you let ego take over. Never let a winning streak convince you that the rules no longer apply. Document every win and the process that led to it so you don't start thinking you're immune to risk. Embrace humility as your shield. Let fear of ruin, not fear of missing out, guide your decisions. Tendler talks about trading from a place of survival, not aggression. This doesn't mean trading scared, it means trading smart. Your capital is your lifeline, your freedom. Protect it with paranoia. When you find yourself tempted to size up aggressively after a win, remind yourself, the market doesn't care about your last trade. It only cares about the next one. What practical steps can you take? Start building buffers, reserve capital, stop losses, rules for reducing size after big wins. Make your default state one of caution, not aggression. Remember, making money is about opportunity. Keeping money is about survival. The best traders have the smallest egos and the biggest respect for risk. Let this section be your wake-up call. Getting rich is a sprint. Staying rich is a marathon. Every decision you make must pass one test. Will this help me last, or just help me feel good right now? Housel's lesson is simple. To truly win in trading, focus less on how fast you can make money and more on how long you can keep it. Reasonable versus rational. The trading decision trap. You've been told to be rational. Every trading book, every mentor, every forum post hammers this home. Trade without emotion, trust the numbers, be logical. But what if I told you that perfect rationality is not just impossible, it's a myth that sets you up for disappointment? Morgan Housel makes a pivotal point in The Psychology of Money. Very few people are rational, but everyone can be reasonable. And that's the secret you need to accept if you want to become a consistently successful trader. What does rational mean in trading? To be rational is to act in ways that maximize your expected value every single time, regardless of how you feel. But you aren't a robot. You're human, with emotions, fears, and biases. You have bills to pay, a family to support, a history with money that shapes your every decision. You might know the statistically optimal move, but in the heat of the moment, you make choices that feel safe, comforting, or even just survivable. Housel warns, a rational investor makes decisions based on facts and logic. A reasonable investor makes decisions based on their own goals and context. You have to be reasonable because you're not just managing numbers, you're managing yourself. This doesn't mean you get a free pass for bad behavior. It means you need to design your trading plan around your real emotional limits, not some idealized version of yourself. Mark Douglas, in Trading in the Zone, calls this accepting risk. You only follow your plan when you believe, deep down, that you can live with the outcome. If your strategy requires you to risk more than you can emotionally handle, you will break your rules every time the market heats up. Reasonable traders don't try to fight their nature. They design their rules to work with it. Think about your own worst trades. How many times did you know the right move, but did the opposite because you were scared or angry? How many times did you revenge trade, not because it was logical, but because it felt necessary to get back to even? Housel would say, you're not crazy, you're just human. The trick isn't to eliminate emotion, it's to plan for it. Jared Tendler urges you to journal not just your trades, but your feelings, triggers, and habits. Over time, you'll see patterns. When you overtrade, when you hesitate, when you cut winners too soon. With this data, you don't become rational, you become reasonable. You find ways to reduce the damage from your worst impulses. This is the hidden power in accepting your humanity. When you forgive yourself for not being perfect, you can start building real discipline. You adjust your size so losses don't feel catastrophic. You trade less frequently, focusing on only the best setups because you know that FOMO will destroy you. You set limits on your trading time, taking breaks when you notice fatigue or tilt. Each of these decisions is reasonable, not perfectly rational, but they're sustainable, and they keep you in the game. Other great trading psychologists echo Housel's point. Bellafiore encourages traders to find your best self, not your perfect self. Steve Burns says, success in trading is about doing what you can do consistently, not what you wish you could do perfectly. In other words, build your plan for real life, not a fantasy. What practical action can you take right now? Review your trading rules. Where are you demanding perfection? Where are you setting yourself up for failure by ignoring your limits? Revise your plan to be more reasonable. Lower your size, add circuit breakers, schedule review sessions to catch yourself before mistakes spiral out of control. This is your path forward. You're not trying to win every trade. You're trying to make decisions that you can live with, trade after trade, year after year. That's not just good psychology, it's the only way to survive. You're not alone. Social comparisons and market madness. Have you ever caught yourself checking someone else's P&L and immediately felt like you're behind? Maybe you see a trader on social media doubling their account overnight, or a friend shares a winning streak, and suddenly your carefully planned progress feels meaningless. What if I told you this urge to compare is quietly sabotaging your edge, draining your focus, and fueling the very emotions that ruin traders? In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel exposes one of the market's most dangerous traps, social comparison. Housel warns, the ceiling of social comparison is so high that virtually no one will ever hit it, which means it's a battle that can never be won. In trading, this battle is relentless. There's always someone posting bigger wins, taking wilder risks, or showing off a lifestyle you secretly crave. You log into your trading platform with a plan, but one look at someone else's gains can turn your discipline into desperation. You start asking, why not me? You chase setups you'd never touch, increase your size, or break your rules. Not to improve your process, but to catch up. It's financial self-destruction, disguised as ambition. This isn't just a social media problem. In every trading room, on every forum, in every conversation, you'll find benchmarks that have nothing to do with your goals. Housel is blunt. You might be happy with what you have until you see someone who has more. It's a recipe for frustration, and the markets feed on it. Your brain is hardwired to measure success against your peers, but in trading, that instinct is poison. Every trader has a different account size, risk tolerance, time horizon, and most importantly, a different story. Comparing yourself to others is like comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Think about your worst trading days. How many started with envy? How often did you abandon a winning system because it didn't match someone else's results? Mark Douglas and Jared Tendler both hammer this point. Your job isn't to beat other traders. Your job is to follow your edge, to manage your process, to play your game. When you lose sight of that, you hand your fate to the market's madness. This constant comparison also breeds anxiety and burnout. You can't enjoy your progress because you're always scanning for someone who's further ahead. Housel says, enough is not too little. The goal isn't to have more than everyone else. It's to have enough for your needs, your freedom, your peace of mind. If you're always chasing the next best thing, you'll never find satisfaction or consistency. So what do? First, get intentional about what you're measuring. Define success for yourself in your terms. Is it growing your capital sustainably? Trading with less stress? Having more freedom in your day? Write it down. Review it daily. Every time you feel the urge to compare, remind yourself, their journey is not yours. Their risk tolerance, their goals, their emotional baggage, it's all different. Build boundaries into your trading. Limit time on social media. Avoid P&L discussions that trigger FOMO. Surround yourself with traders who value process over results, humility over hype. Steve Burns reminds you, focus on your own progress. The only trader you should compare yourself to is the one you were yesterday. That's how you protect your edge. Let this be a turning point. Social comparison is a distraction, a disease that spreads quietly, sapping your discipline and confidence. You're not trying to outtrade the world. You're trying to outtrade your former self. Every step you take towards independence, mental, emotional, and financial, makes you a stronger, more resilient trader. The power of a personal investing story. What if the greatest advantage you have isn't a secret indicator, a proprietary algorithm, or access to insider information, but your own story? In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel drives home the truth. Every trader is running their own race, shaped by a lifetime of experiences, beliefs, and emotions around money. You are not competing with the crowd. Your edge is found in embracing the uniqueness of your journey and using it to create a strategy that fits you, not the masses. Housel writes, every financial decision a person makes sense to them in that moment, based on their own unique experiences. This is not an excuse for poor choices. It's an invitation to reflection. When you understand why you trade the way you do, why you're drawn to certain setups, why you fear certain losses, why you trust or doubt specific strategies, you unlock a source of insight no one else can copy. Your background, your fears, your goals, they're not liabilities. They are your raw material for developing true conviction. Think about it. Why do some traders thrive in high volatility environments while others crumble? Why do some prefer slow, steady swing trades while others live for the adrenaline of scalping? It's not just risk tolerance. It's a lifetime of emotional wiring. Housel's point is clear. Stop borrowing other people's convictions. Bellafiore and Douglas say the same. Your trading must make sense to you in your context, or you'll abandon it at the first sign of trouble. Look back at your journey. Remember the first time you made or lost real money. What lessons did you draw? What beliefs did you cement? Jared Tendler encourages traders to identify emotional hot buttons, those moments where your past comes roaring into your present, pulling you off plan. Maybe you fear missing out because you grew up around scarcity. Maybe you hold losers too long because admitting you're wrong triggers childhood shame. The point is not to judge, but to observe. Housel argues, your personal history with money may only be a tiny part of what's happened in the world, but it's 80% of why you act the way you do. This is your map. Use it. How does this translate to practical trading? Start journaling, not just trades, but the emotions, memories, and stories that surface when you're under pressure. When you recognize a repeating pattern, dig deeper. Is this really about the chart or about your past? Steve Burns says, successful traders trade what fits their personality, not just what looks good on paper. The more you align your process with your reality, the less you'll self-sabotage. Resist the urge to copy and paste someone else's journey. When you read a story of a trader who risked everything and won, remember, You don't know their fears, their losses, or what it cost them to play that game. Housel's lesson is to build conviction slowly through honest self-reflection. When your strategy is grounded in your own story, you gain resilience. You're less shaken by drawdowns, less tempted by hype, more willing to stick to your edge. This is not weakness. This is your superpower. The market rewards those who can endure, and nothing fuels endurance like genuine conviction. The most successful traders aren't the ones who found the perfect system. They're the ones who found the system that fit them and stuck with it long enough for compounding to work its magic. So here's your challenge. Instead of asking what works, ask what works for me and why. Write your own trading story. Own your history, your quirks, your fears. Use them as data, not baggage. That's how you turn your past from a liability into your greatest trading asset. Confessions of the wealthy: humility, frugality, and survival. You see the highlight reels, the cars, the watches, the sudden six-figure wins. But what if I told you that the traders who last, the ones you never hear about, are quietly practicing three qualities you rarely see celebrated: humility, frugality, and survival? In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel strips away the fantasy of trading riches and exposes what truly matters if you want to keep playing the game. Housel shares, wealth is what you don't see. The traders flashing their latest win often aren't the ones with staying power. Those who endure in this business, through booms, busts, and every storm in between, are those who build habits around caution, not bravado. They aren't chasing the biggest win. They're obsessed with protecting what they've already built. It's not sexy. It's not loud. But it's the difference between a trading career and a trading story. Humility is your first armor. The market will humble you whether you like it or not. The question is, will you humble yourself before the market does it for you? Every successful trader knows that every win is, in part, luck. They recognize that the moment you feel invincible is the moment you're most at risk. Housel is blunt. You have to survive to succeed. Mark Douglas echoes, your goal is not to be right. Your goal is to make money. Only the humble can adapt, learn, and bounce back from setbacks. Frugality is next. This doesn't mean being cheap. It means respecting your resources. The best traders treat their capital as precious. They don't size up just because they've had a good week. They don't need to impress anyone with their spending. Steve Burns says, the less you need, the freer you are. When you stop chasing lifestyle goals set by others, you buy yourself time. Time to let your edge play out. Time to weather the inevitable drawdowns. Survival is the ultimate goal. Housel points to the greatest investors, Buffett, Munger, Simons, and finds a common thread. They're all obsessed with not blowing up. Bellafiore puts it simply, risk management is survival management. The traders who endure don't make their edge about predicting markets. They make it about never letting a single event take them out of the game. This is why you see consistent journaling, strict stops, and relentless self-review among professionals. Their edge isn't genius, it's discipline. Day after day, trade after trade. Let's be real, this mindset isn't glamorous. You won't get applause for cutting back your risk after a hot streak, or for walking away when everyone else is piling in. But these are the moves that keep you in the game for years, not months. Jared Tendler challenges traders to embrace boredom. When trading gets boring, it means your process is working. The thrill seekers are gone. The survivors remain. So what does this look like for you? It's reviewing your wins with as much scrutiny as your losses. It's questioning every urge to size up or chase. It's choosing financial independence over social approval. It's playing defense as fiercely as offense. When you practice humility, frugality, and survival, you stop trading for the applause and start trading for your future. Remember Housel's final confession. Save. Just save. You don't need a specific reason to save. Let that be your mantra. The quiet traders, the ones with little to prove and everything to protect, are the real legends. Will you be one of them? Or just another headline? Building your trading legacy. Lessons for a lifetime. Now ask yourself, what are you really building with your trading? A streak? An account balance to show off? Or something deeper? Something that lasts when the markets shift and the crowds move on? In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel urges you to think beyond this week's trades, beyond the next milestone, to the legacy you're crafting with every decision, every discipline, every lesson learned the hard way. Housel reminds you, everything has a price, but not all prices appear on labels. Every impulsive trade, every night lost to stress, every shortcut taken out of impatience, these are the hidden costs that most traders never count until it's too late. Legacy isn't built in a day, and it's certainly not built by chasing what's trending or copying someone else's style. Your trading journey is a reflection of your values: patience, resilience, and honesty with yourself. Think back on what you've learned so far. Money is emotional. You bring your entire self to every trade. Luck and risk are always lurking, and your true edge is surviving, not predicting. Compounding isn't flashy, but it is the force that will quietly build your future, if you let it. Real wealth is the freedom to choose, to wake up on your own terms. The market will seduce you with the promise of getting rich, but it will only reward you if you focus on staying rich, on lasting, on outliving your mistakes. By now, you know that reasonable beats rational, that the best plan is the one you can stick to through real-world ups and downs. You're no longer fooled by the social media highlight reel, because you know every trader is running their own race, shaped by stories you'll never see. Your journey is unique. Embrace that. Use your story as fuel, not an excuse. And don't fall for the illusion that trading is about showing off. The greatest traders are humble, frugal, and obsessed with survival, not applause. So what actions do you take to build a legacy? Start by defining your own success. Write it down and review it often. Focus on process over outcome. Build habits, not just strategies. Protect your capital like your future depends on it, because it does. When you make mistakes, extract every lesson. When you succeed, remember it's not just skill, but humility and patience. Let the story of your trading career be one of wisdom, not regret. Housel closes with a challenge that echoes across every discipline. You have to give yourself room for error. You have to plan for things you can't see. In trading, that's the difference between those who make noise for a season and those who leave a mark for a lifetime. Your legacy isn't built by what you do when you win. It's built by how you respond to setbacks, how you evolve, and how you use every experience as a stepping stone toward the trader you're becoming. Every trade is a brick. Every lesson is mortar. What will you build? What if you saw every trade not just as a wager, but as a building block for your future self, a conscious step in crafting the trading legacy you want to leave behind? The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel is more than a book about markets. It's a guide for how to think, feel, and act with intention in a world that's always pulling you off course. Through its lessons, you've learned that money is never just numbers. It's your personal history, your emotions, your need for freedom, your ability to survive and adapt. You've learned to respect luck and risk, to harness the quiet power of compounding, and to value process and humility over ego and speed. You know now that the real edge in trading is being reasonable, not perfect, sustainable, not flashy. You've also seen that the only comparison that matters is with the trader you were yesterday, and that your unique story is your greatest strength, not your weakness. In the end, wealth is not about what you flaunt, but about the freedom and choices you buy for yourself. Let humility, frugality, and survival be your foundation, and focus on lasting, not just winning. If you're ready to shift your mindset, start with the chapter that resonates most with your current struggle. Maybe it's compounding, maybe it's freedom, maybe it's confronting your emotional baggage. Take one lesson at a time, apply it, and let your process evolve. If this journey inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives on trading psychology and performance. Your legacy starts now. Make it one worth remembering. In this video, you explored the core lessons of the psychology of money, structured in 10 actionable sections: understanding the emotional roots of your trading, respecting luck and risk, leveraging compounding, prioritizing freedom, learning the art of survival over the thrill of quick riches, embracing reasonable decision-making, escaping the trap of social comparison, crafting a trading approach that honors your personal story, valuing humility and frugality, and finally, building a lasting trading legacy. Each part offered practical advice, powerful wake-up calls, and connections to top trading psychology texts, all delivered in a fast-paced, emotionally charged narrative. If you found value here, share which lesson hit you hardest in the comments, and let's build a community of traders who focus on the psychology that creates real, lasting wealth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to continue your growth journey.